Imagine being a doctor who can't get medicine to save your own patients. A soldier forced to watch his comrades die, while officers sell their supplies for profit. A father who has to choose between his daughter's forced marriage and his entire family's execution. Today, you'll hear from a lieutenant colonel who served the regime for 20 years until the moment he could no longer lie to himself. This is his family's journey, from a system where human dignity has no value to freedom. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps bring these untold stories to light. It all started like this. Lieutenant Colonel, the warehouse is empty. It was dawn, October 2023. I was stationed near Pyeongchang, managing military supplies. I held the rank of lieutenant colonel in the People's Army. Rice, corn, uniforms. I'd been distributing rations to soldiers for over 20 years. My subordinate woke me in a panic. I rushed to the warehouse. When I opened the door, my heart sank. 50 sacks of rice there until yesterday evening had vanished without a trace. That was a month's worth of food for 200 soldiers. My men just stood there, heads down. Everyone knew. Senior officers had taken it all during the night. They'd sell it at the Jeonmadang market. One sack fetched $100. 50 sacks meant $5,000. For officers, that was a fortune. I went to report to the division commander. The moment I opened his door, Chinese cigarette smoke hit me. 2 cartons of foreign cigarettes sat on his desk. $100 per pack. I started to mention the warehouse. He cut me off. Kim, your daughter's going to medical school next year, right? A chill ran down my spine. Keep quiet. Make waves, and your daughter can forget medical school. Your wife might have trouble at the hospital too. I walked out without a word. When I got home, my wife was preparing dinner. Corn, rice, and kimchi. That was all. She sighed. I had to turn away 3 patients today. No medicine. My wife was a doctor, a first lieutenant at the military hospital. But she had diabetes. Getting insulin at the Jeonmadang cost hundreds of dollars. A doctor who couldn't get her own medicine. Our daughter looked up from her books. Mom, Dad, I want to be a doctor like you. I'll cure everyone who's sick. My heart broke. Our daughter still had dreams. But I knew the truth. Getting into Pyongyang Medical University required $10,000 in bribes. Yes, you'll make a great doctor. I lied. My wife smiled bitterly and stroked our daughter's hair. I couldn't sleep that night. My grandfather fought in the Korean War. He risked his life. My father spent his entire life in uniform, defending the country. 3 generations of soldiers. My wife took pride in treating the people as a military doctor. But what was this? Officers stealing soldiers' food to sell. My wife turning patients away. No medicine. Was this the country we'd risked our lives to protect? I pushed the thought away. No, just a few bad officers. The system itself isn't wrong. I lied to myself. For now. The breaking point came the following spring. Medical supplies arrived from Pyongyang. The manifest listed antibiotics, anesthetics, 100 boxes. My men and I opened the shipment. Only 10 boxes. One subordinate's voice shook. Lieutenant Colonel, this is too much. I knew where the other 90 boxes had gone. Senior officers had taken them. But what could I do? I gritted my teeth and signed for 100 boxes. Challenging it would only destroy me. I called my wife. She'd received only 10 boxes too. The hospital had 200 patients. She'd cancelled 2 scheduled surgeries that day. No anesthetics. That evening, my wife came home in tears. A 20-year-old soldier today. Appendicitis. We couldn't operate. She couldn't finish. I knew what happened to that soldier. With anesthesia, it's a 30-minute surgery. She collapsed into my arms and cried. 20 years as a doctor. Crying because she couldn't save a patient. No medicine. A few days later, I passed through the Pyeongchang Jeonmadang. I stopped. A familiar box sat on a vendor's table. Military hospital antibiotics. How much? $50. The merchant answered casually. Military medicine, sold openly at the market. Soldiers dying while officers got rich. That night at dinner, I told my wife. Our daughter was studying in her room. I know. My wife nodded. Last year too. The year before. Everyone knows. But no one can say anything. We sat in silence. Our daughter came out for water. She saw our faces. Mom, Dad, what's wrong? Nothing. It's nothing. Another lie. That night, I couldn't sleep. I thought of my grandfather. Bullets flying on the battlefield. He believed dying for his country was an honor. But what was this country now? A country where officers stole medicine to sell at markets. Where a 20-year-old died from appendicitis. Was this the nation my grandfather died to protect? I couldn't lie anymore. The system was broken, not just a few bad officers. The entire system was rotten. But what could I do? I was just a lieutenant colonel. My wife just a first lieutenant. Another year passed. Fall 2024. The division commander called me in. Good news, he said. The son of the division political deputy chief liked my daughter. Kim, congratulations. Your daughter's marrying into a good family. I froze. I knew who this man was. 35 years old, divorced 3 months ago. Rumors said he beat his ex-wife when drunk. Division commander, my daughter is only 19. Exactly. Young and beautiful. Marrying into a good family is a blessing. I couldn't refuse. A political deputy chief's wishes were orders. I went home and told my daughter. Her face went white. Dad, I don't like him. I saw him at the unit event last year. I know. I looked down. But what choice do we have? If we refuse, our whole family. She started crying. My 19-year-old daughter. Forced to marry a man she didn't want. My wife held her. They cried together. A few days later, my wife collapsed. Diabetes complications. She hadn't gotten insulin in time. Her blood sugar spiked dangerously. She was admitted to the military hospital. I ran to the Zhongmadang. I needed insulin. Do you have insulin? I do, but prices went up. $300. $300. 3 months of my salary. But I had no choice. I emptied all our hidden savings. It bought 1 month's worth. At the hospital, I gave my wife the insulin. She grabbed my hand. Honey, I'm sorry. I'm a doctor, but I can't even cure myself. Don't say that. This isn't your fault. That night, I did the math. My wife's insulin cost $300 a month. $3,600 a year. My salary couldn't cover it. Not in a lifetime. But my wife couldn't survive without insulin. Our daughter would be sold to a man she didn't want. My wife was dying from medical costs. I couldn't do anything. This couldn't continue. Our family would collapse. A few days later, the division commander called again. My daughter's wedding date was set. 3 months away. 3 months. That's all the time we had left. That night, my wife and I sat facing each other. Our daughter was crying in her room. Honey, I spoke first. Can we keep living here? My wife looked up. In her eyes and mine, we saw the same thought. Escape. That forbidden word appeared between us. From that night on, we whispered every night. Escape. A word too terrifying to speak aloud. We passed it back and forth. Our daughter couldn't know. The neighbors listening through walls couldn't know. We whispered and whispered. My wife's voice trembled. If we failed, we'd all die. I knew that, but staying here meant dying slowly. We had no choice. 20 years managing military supplies, I'd met people. A broker who moved goods across the North Korea-China border. Mr. Choi, he called himself. One day, I called him aside. Mr. Choi, can you move people too? Mr. Choi looked at me for a long moment. Then nodded. 3 people would cost $20,000. I asked him to wait 3 months. From that day on, we saved frantically. We sold everything. Gold rings, silver spoons. My wife's gold necklace. I told our daughter. At first, she cried. She was scared. I asked her. In 3 months, you'll marry that man. Isn't that more frightening? She nodded through tears. She'd help save money. In 3 months, we scraped together $5,000. I went to Mr. Choi. He shook his head. $5,000 wasn't enough. We needed $20,000. My legs shook. But I had one option. Steal from the warehouse. Do what the officers had been doing. At night, I took 100 cartons of Chinese cigarettes from the warehouse. My hands trembled. 20 years in the military. I'd never done this before. That was $10,000. Days later, I took military uniforms. 5,000 more. My heart was tearing apart. I was abandoning every principle I'd lived by. I handed Mr. Choi the 20,000. He said everything would be ready in 2 weeks. We were really leaving. One last time, I visited my parents' graves. Early dawn. No one around. I knelt before my grandfather, grandmother, father, and mother. Grandfather, father, this unfilial son Sungchul asks forgiveness. Your son is leaving these graves behind. I'll never return to pay respects. But I must save my daughter. My wife. Tears came. I bowed for a long time before standing. Leaving my homeland meant never returning. This was goodbye. I came home and told my wife and daughter. We'd leave in 2 weeks. Pack only essentials. It was finally beginning. November 15, 2025. 10 p.m. When Mr. Choi's truck arrived at the meeting point, I gripped my wife's and daughter's hands. Pyeongchang to the North Korea-China border 4 hours by car. We climbed into the truck bed. 20 sacks of rice were stacked inside. We crouched in the gaps between them. Mr. Choi covered us with a tarp. 3 checkpoints ahead, he said. Don't make a sound. When the tarp fell, we were in complete darkness. The truck started. Every bump on the unpaved road slammed us against the rice sacks. Acrid oil fumes stung my nose. My wife gripped my arm tight. Her hand was ice cold. About an hour in the first checkpoint, guards asked what he was carrying. Mr. Choi said military rations. I heard paper rustling, bills changing hands. The truck moved again. The second checkpoint was the same. The third was a problem. We sat still for 10 minutes. The guards wanted to check the cargo. I heard Mr. Choi talking. More money changing hands. Finally, we moved. Around 2 a.m., the tarp lifted. Mr. Choi said we had to walk now. A pitch-black mountain path. We walked for about an hour. My daughter gripped my hand tight. My wife kept stumbling. Her diabetes. I heard water. The Tumen River. Mr. Choi said China was just 100 meters ahead. He shook my hand. Good luck. Thank you. I'll never forget this. We went down to the river. The moment I stepped in, I clenched my teeth. It felt like my bones were shattering. Ice-cold pain spread from my ankles to my knees, then thighs. My wife gasped. I carried her into the river. Our daughter followed. When the water reached our waists, lights appeared. Patrol. Get down. I pulled my wife and daughter under. Water rose to our necks. We held our breath. My daughter's nails dug into my arm. She was shaking. I squeezed her hand. The patrol's flashlight swept over our heads. Quiet tonight, someone said. Footsteps faded. When the light disappeared, I raised my head. We crossed again. My legs were numb, frozen. I just kept walking forward. When we reached the other side, I used all my strength to pull my wife and daughter up. Chinese soil. We made it. We did it. My wife fell into my arms crying. Our daughter cried. I cried too. But we had no time for tears. It wasn't over yet. The real journey was just beginning. The moment we set foot on Chinese soil, someone Mr. Choi had arranged met us. A Korean-Chinese man. Mr. Kim, he said, we're the same blood. I had to help. He put us in his truck and drove for 2 hours. A small village near Yeonji. We hid in Mr. Kim's basement. A tiny room with no windows. 1 bed and a bathroom. That was all. Stay here for 2 months. It takes time to arrange the route to South Korea. Never go outside. If Chinese police catch you, they'll send you back to North Korea. Mr. Kim's words. From that day on, we were trapped in the basement. The first few days, I felt relief. We'd survived. But after a week, it became unbearable. 20 years as a People's Army lieutenant colonel. Commanding 100 men, now I was hiding like a rat in a windowless basement. Staring at a clock in the dark, I lost track of whether I was human or animal. My daughter asked, Dad, how long do we live like this? I had no answer. Mr. Kim got my wife's insulin. $100 for a month's supply. When I heard that, I sat there stunned for a long time. In North Korea, it was $1,000. And nearly impossible to find. I'd even stolen military supplies to pay for it. In China, it cost $100. I felt hollow, but also relieved. My wife would live. About a month in, a problem arose. Chinese police were cracking down on defectors. Mr. Kim came down, his face pale. Police are coming to our village tomorrow. If they catch you, I'm in big trouble too. Please, don't even breathe aloud. I couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, I heard boots upstairs. Heavy, military-style stomping. Multiple people. Voices speaking Chinese. Police. I put my hand over my wife's and daughter's mouths. The 3 of us sat frozen. Boots searched every corner of the house, getting closer to the basement door. A hand on the doorknob. Click. My daughter trembled all over. Then Mr. Kim's voice, that's just storage. Junk. The officer asked something. Mr. Kim laughed as he answered. The hand left the doorknob. Footsteps faded. A long while later, the front gate closed. The police had left. I finally exhaled. My whole body was soaked in sweat. My daughter buried herself in my arms, crying, "Dad, I'm scared." "It's okay. We're okay now." Relief was brief. We were still in China. We had to stay hidden. 2 months passed. Mr. Kim came down. "Everything's ready. Time to go to South Korea." Mr. Kim explained, "We couldn't go directly from China to South Korea. We had to go through Mongolia. 2 days by car from Yanji to the Mongolian border. Then cross the Mongolian desert to Ulaanbaatar. It'll be hard, but it's the safest route." Early January 2026. We got in another truck. This time, it was loaded with coal. We buried ourselves among the coal piles. We spent 2 days like that. Looking at each other's blackened faces, we couldn't even smile. At every checkpoint, we held our breath. We crossed the Mongolian border. At night, we climbed over barbed wire into the desert. An endless horizon stretched before us. During the day, sandstorms blew. At night, bone-chilling cold rolled in. You probably know desert nights are completely different from the days. Temperatures dropped to 20 below zero. The wind cut like knives. We walked holding each other. My daughter said, "Dad, let's rest a bit," but stopping meant freezing to death. We just walked. On the third day, my wife collapsed. Blood sugar crashed from diabetes complications. I put her on my back. Do you know how hard it is to carry a person through the desert at over 50? Every step felt like my knees would buckle. My daughter walked beside me, holding her mother's legs. "We can't die here, not after coming this far." Tears came, but I couldn't cry. Tears froze on my face. We walked another full day. When lights appeared in the distance, I thanked my parents in heaven. A nomadic herder drove us to Ulaanbaatar. Another day. When we finally arrived, the herder put us in a taxi. He gave the driver a piece of paper. The South Korean embassy address was written on it. The taxi drove. About 30 minutes passed. The taxi stopped. I looked out the window. A building stood before us. Above it, the taegukgi fluttered. Red, blue, white. Those colors were so vivid. I'd never seen such a beautiful flag in my life. That flag we couldn't even imagine in North Korea. It was waving in the wind. The Republic of Korea Embassy. I gripped my wife's and daughter's hands and knocked on the embassy door. It opened. A South Korean appeared. "Please help us. We came from North Korea." My voice shook. The person looked at us in shock, then quickly ushered us inside. "You're safe. You're safe now." Hearing those words, my knees gave out. I collapsed right there and cried. My wife cried. My daughter cried. 3 months of journey over. A week later, we boarded a government charter flight. Non-stop from Mongolia to Incheon. It was our first time on a plane. Clouds floated outside the window. Flying through the sky felt surreal. After about 3 hours, the captain announced we'd soon arrive at Incheon Airport. The plane descended. I looked out. Lights everywhere. Buildings glowing. "Is that South Korea?" my daughter asked. "Yes, that's South Korea, where we'll live now." We left the airport. Government officials were waiting. They took us to a place called Hanawan, where defectors receive adaptation training. We trained for 3 months. How to speak Korean, how to use money, how to ride the subway. Everything felt strange at first. After training, the government helped us get a small apartment near Seoul. When we first opened the apartment door, water gushed from the tap. Electricity ran 24 hours. Things we couldn't even imagine in North Korea. Our daughter enrolled in school. Medical school was difficult, but she applied to nursing school. I got a job at a small company. The pay wasn't much, but it was dozens of times more than I'd earned in North Korea. But the most moving thing was something else. One day, my wife got sick. Her blood sugar rose. I took her to the hospital. The doctor said she needed insulin and wrote a prescription. I went to the pharmacy. My heart was pounding. In North Korea, a month of insulin cost $300. The pharmacist handed over the insulin. "How much?" I asked. 6,000 won. With health insurance. 6,000 won. Less than $5. I cried right there. The pharmacist asked why I was crying. In North Korea, this cost $300. My wife almost died because we couldn't get it. But here, 6,000 won? The pharmacist's eyes welled up too. When I brought the insulin home to my wife, she grabbed my hand and cried. Our daughter cried too. This was freedom. This was South Korea. Now our family lives well here. Our daughter studies hard. My wife is healthy. Sometimes I miss home. I miss the Pyeongseong sky. I miss my parents' graves. But I can't go back. Someday, I hope for reunification. Then I'll go home. I'll pay respects at my parents' graves. I hope the people still in North Korea can live freely. I hope you all understand how precious freedom is. How good South Korea is. I hope we see reunification in our generation. Thank you for listening to this long story.